this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from The Wander and His Comp. And The Wander and His Comp has this question: how is the issue of astrology dealt with in contemporary paganism and Wicca? And of course the first part of this answer is that when we set our parameters for the entire pagan/Wiccan community, a one-size-fits-all answer is not really possible. I am sure that we could find within that community some traditions in which astrology is absolutely vital and others in which it has no role whatsoever. However, it is possible to make a generalization on the understanding that this is not going to apply to every possible group that is out there. And I think that for the most part, the way the contemporary pagan community deals with astrology is that a basic understanding of it is considered highly desirable and even necessary. But to be able to actually practice astrology would be a personal specialty that a person might or might not choose to develop for their own reasons. In the Correllian tradition, we deal with astrology in some depth in the second degree, although you'll also find a lot of astrology-related information in the first degree. But in terms of whether a person wishes to actually practice it, it would again be a personal specialty, but being familiar with the ideas of astrology is, in my opinion, actually rather important because they tie into so many other related skills. Things like planetary rulership, the qualities associated with different signs and planets, these show up in many other parts of metaphysics, and so being familiar with them is kind of important, even if astrology by itself has no particular interest to you. If you understand these things, you'll find it much easier to deal, for example, with things like palmistry, where planetary rulership again shows up and is very closely related. So being familiar with astrology and the basics of astrology, I think, is fairly important, and I think that the larger portion of the community would agree with this, but being able to actually practice it is an entirely different matter. And the extent to which a person applies it in any aspect of their lives, I think, is very much an individual thing. Some people are very concerned with it, some are not. A lot of people in the contemporary pagan community put an awful lot of importance on the idea of Mercury retrograde, which for the most part I regard as nonsense, and do not really encourage people to pay it that much attention to. I'm not saying there's nothing to it, I'm saying that they treat it as a superstition rather than as a tool to improve their lives. And I think that that tends to play a negative role. I think that if you're going to pay attention to astrology, you need to treat it the way you treat any other aspect of metaphysics, which again is as a tool to make your life better, not as something to limit and bind you. And I think that many people use their fear of Mercury retrograde as an excuse for not doing things they really should have been doing. But when it comes to practicing astrology in the sense of being able to cast and interpret a chart, I think that this is very much an individual specialty, which we certainly do find rather frequently within the pagan and Wiccan community, but is not something that every person would be expected to know. So those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you for Pagans Tonight Radio. Pagans Tonight Radio is an online radio network with different hosts and different shows 7 nights a week. There's something for every taste, including Spanish language programming on Saturday evening. Check out paganstonight.com today. Pray for peace. Pray for love. Pray for stability. Pray for the nation where you live. Pray for the world.